Welcome to the Microsoft Office 365 Pro Plus with System Center Configuration Manager lab. So in this lab we're going to be doing a few things. We're going to create an Office 365 installer from the Office 365 client dashboard. We're going to create a software update, groups, and deploy Office 365 Pro Plus channel updates. We're going to enable Office 365 client data in the Office 365 client dashboard. We're going to review and use the Office 365 client reports. We're going to create automatic deployment rules to update clients on the monthly channel. And finally, we're going to create automatic deployment rules to move clients to a new version of the semi-annual deferred channel. We're going to create an Office 365 deployment. Basically, we're going to use the Office 365 installer from the Office 365 client management dashboard to make an initial Office 365 app installation experience easier. So I'm going to open my remote desktop connection and connect to System Center Configuration Manager. Go ahead and log on. Okay, now that Configuration Manager is open, we're going to be working inside of Software Library, Office 365 Client Management. We're going to open up Office 365 Client Installer. We're going to name the Application Settings page here Office 365 Pro Plus -monthly channel. The description is basically stating that this app will install 32-bit version of the monthly channel. We need to specify the location where it's going to get the downloads from. Now, if you don't already know the location, you could browse through your file system, of course, but I already know my location, so I'm putting it in. We'll click Next. So on this page, the Import Client Settings page, you could import an XML file with your settings, or you could manually create one. For this lab, we're going to manually create one. On the Clients page, we're going to go with Office 365 Pro Plus Suite, and we'll leave all the defaults selected and click Next. On the Client Settings page, we're going to specify the settings for Office 365 clients. We're going to go with a 32-bit version. We're going to work with the current channel. We're going to click on accept the end license agreement and click Next. On the deployment page, deploy application now. We're going to select yes and click next. On the general page, specify general information for this deployment. We're going to click on browse. The drop down next to user collections, we're going to go down to device collections. We're going to select human resources and click OK. We want to make sure that automatically distribute content for dependencies is checked, then click next. Now on the content page where we specify a destination, we'll do it down here. We'll click add and distribution point. We're going to check the box next to MD CM01. Click OK. Click next. On the deployment settings page, specify settings to control how this software is deployed. We're going to leave it as is and click next. The scheduling page, we're not going to make any changes. We'll click next. On the user experience page, which specifies the user experience for the installation of this software on selected devices, we're going to leave the defaults, which is display in Software Center and show all notifications. We're going to leave that default, and we'll leave everything as is and click next. The alerts page, specify configuration manager and operation manager alert options. We're going to leave the defaults and click next. On the summary page, you're going to confirm the settings. So it's basically summarizing all of the settings that you have chosen. We would then click next at this time, but due to the time constraints of this lab, we'll cancel out of this. Pretty much after the application is deployed, the next time a client in the human resources device collection refreshes their machine policy, in configuration manager properties, it will download and install the semi-annual channel of Office 365 ProPlus. That's what this installation would do. So we'll go ahead and cancel out of this one. Right now we're going to update Office 365 clients. So we're going to move away from Office 365 client management, which is inside the software library, and we're going to go to Office 365 updates. In the search box, we're going to make a search for semi, and this is for the semi-annual Office 365 updates, which usually show up in January and July. So the most up-to-date update that we have for the x86 platform is this one, and the green arrow indicates that it's ready. So I'm going to right click on it and select create software update group, and I will call this one Office 365 semi-annual channel lab. We'll go ahead and create it. Next we'll go to software update groups, and I'll maximize this. So this is the update that I just created. We'll right mouse click it and select deploy. We'll change the deployment name here to semi-annual channel lab. We'll go down to collections, click browse. We'll select the human resources group, click OK, click next. On the deployment settings page, where you specify deployment settings, on the type of deployments, we're going to hit the drop down and select available, and we'll click next. The scheduling tab, we're not really going to change anything. We'll click next. User experience, we'll leave it as is and click next. The alerts page, we'll leave the defaults. Now on the downloads and settings page, which is to specify download settings of this deployment, we're going to select download software updates from distribution point and install. Then we'll click next. Now on the deployment package page, where we specify the package we're going to use, we're going to browse to our package. We'll use the Office 365 updates semi-annual channel. Now on the download location page, we want to verify the download software updates from the internet is selected. We'll click next. Language selection has English, which is our language. We'll click next. The summary page shows all our selections. We'll click next. Now this usually takes a few minutes, and pretty much what it would do is once it's done installing the updates, for example, this update, the language pack is about 200 megabytes in size. It would give you a summary on the completion screen. So for our purposes, this is going to take a little too long, so we'll end this segment now. Alright, so the deploy wizard has completed successful. We'll go ahead and close out of this. Right now we're going to take a look at how to display data in Office 365 Client Management Dashboard. So we're going to navigate down to Administration. Underneath the Overview section, we're going to click on Client Settings. Right click on Default Client Settings. Click on Properties. So on the Default Settings window, we're going to click on Hardware Inventory. So on the default settings list, we want to verify that enable hardware inventory on clients. So that is selected to the yes. Then we want to go to set classes. So in the hardware inventory classes, what we want to do is scroll down to Office 365 ProPlus configurations and ensure that it is checked. Office 365 ProPlus configurations. It is checked. Let's click OK and OK. Right now we're going to view Office 365 client reports. So inside of the Configuration Manager, we're going to be working inside of the Monitoring tab. Go into Reporting, Reports, scroll down to Office 365 Client Configurations. Double click Office 365 Product Versions Count. Next to Product, we're going to click on Values, then Office. Next to Version, we're going to click on Values. This is showing us the versions of Office 365 that we have installed in our environment. We're going to select the latest one, being the one ending with 2099. Click on View Report. And the report, let me maximize it here. It shows that we have 4 installations of Office 365 ProPlus running at version 2099. Let's close out of this. Let's go to Office 365 Client Update Source Details. This report shows the update details of Office 365 clients such as enabled, source, and channel. We're going to go to Updates Enabled and click on Values, and we'll select False. Click on View Report. Notice that there's nothing in this report because in this lab all the computers have updates enabled. Let's close out of this. Let's click on Client Update Status for each computer. In this report we could see the most recent update status for each Office 365 ProPlus client. If I maximize this and click on the sort, you could easily see which ones were successful and which ones failed. Let's close out of this. Next, we're going to create an update deployment rule for Office 365 Updates monthly channel. We're going to go here to create an ADR. Let's click it. The name for our ADR will be Office 365 Updates Monthly Channel. Inside of the collections, we're going to browse and this one will be for the IT department. We're going to keep the default selected here to add to an existing software update group. Click Next. The deployment settings page, we'll leave it as is and click Next. So on the software updates page, where we select the property filters and search criteria, we're going to make a few changes. The first one is we're going to check date released or revised. We're going to check that. Inside of the search criteria, we're going to click value to find. On the drop down, we're going to select last 1 month. Click OK. We're going to go back to the properties filters. We're going to put a check mark next to supersede. In the search criteria, the value to find. Going to hit the drop down. We're going to make sure it's selected to no. Click OK. Go back up to the properties filters and click on title. Go to the search criteria next to title, and we're going to type in monthly and add an OK. We're going to click on preview. Let's expand the title name so we can see the full name. So for this ADR, we only want to download monthly updates. So we're going to add an exclusion for monthly channel targeted updates. So we'll close out of this. We're going to click on title, and we're going to add minus targeted. Let's click OK. Let's click preview. And notice our list is much smaller because we excluded the targeted. We could go ahead and close out of this. Let's click Next. The evaluation schedule, we'll leave the defaults and click Next. The deployment schedule, we'll leave the defaults and click Next. On user experience, under deadline behavior, we're going to select software update installation. Click Next. Alerts, we'll leave the defaults and click Next. On the download settings, under deployment options, we're going to select download software updates from distribution point and install, then click Next. On the deployment package page, we're going to browse. We'll select Office 365 monthly. Click Next. The download location page will stay with the defaults and click Next. Of course, English is our language. The summary page allows you to confirm all your settings and save this as a template if necessary. We'll click Next. And we've now created our rule. So after this automatic deployment rule has ran, the new software update group will be created, and the updates for the 32-bit monthly channel will be automatically added and deployed to the IT department's collection. Let's close out of this. We're going to create an automatic deployment rule for Office 365 updates semi-annual channel. So we're going back to create an ADR. On the general tab, we're going to name this one Move to Newest Semi-Annual Channel Version. On the collection area, we're going to browse and select Human Resources. We want to make sure Add to an Existing Software Update Group is selected. Deployment settings, we'll keep the defaults. On the software updates, under property filters, we're going to click on product. We'll click on the search criteria items to find. Scroll down to Office 365 client. Select it. Click OK. Under the properties filters, click on supersede and make sure no is selected for the value to find. Just click on text to find. We're going to add semi-annual. We're going to add targeted. Well, I guess exclude x64, yeah. And exclude 64-bit. Click OK. Let's go ahead and click preview. Let's expand the title so we could see our results. We can see here there are multiple updates available on the semi-annual channel, but we want to make sure we're updating the newest release of the semi-annual channel. So based on this report, we could see 1708 is the newest version of the client update. So we're going to make a note of 1701 and 05 to add to our exclusion report. So we'll go back to title. Let's go back into title on the search criteria. We're going to exclude 1701 and exclude 1705. Hit enter or OK. Let's click preview and notice our result is the latest version 1708. Let's close out of this. Let's click next. Let's click next on the evaluation. Deployment schedule next. User experience under the deadline behavior. We want to click software update installation. Click next. Alerts page, we'll keep the defaults and click next. On the download settings page, under deployment options, right here, we want to click download software updates from distribution point and install. Click next. On the deployment package page, we're going to click browse to select a package, and we're going for the semi-annual channel. Click OK. Click next. Download location, it's downloading from the internet, that's fine. It has our language of English selected. Click next. This is our summary page to review what we've selected. Let's click next. And we've created our automatic deployment rule. Let's close out of this. So in this lab, you learned how to use System Center Configuration Manager to create Office 365 deployments using Office 365 Installer. You also learned how to deploy Office 365 updates, enable the Office 365 client dashboard, and view the Office 365 client reports. Finally, you learned how to create automatic deployment rules to manage Office 365 client updates.